Hello, everyone. Welcome to Somebody's Got to Do It. As usual, I have a very interesting guest speaking with me this morning. I would love to introduce you to Ralston Anthony Barrett. He's the CEO of Reggae PR, and he's also a publicist. He is an artist manager and a producer. Also, he's the CEO of Symphony Records. And Ralston, I call him Raleigh, and I'm going to tell you about the friendship that has blossomed between myself and this young man. But he's here to tell you about all the hats that he wears, what it entails, because as you know, we like to get into the nitty gritty of the jobs, the things that you don't even understand, the things that this job entails. And Raleigh is going to tell us all about it. Welcome, Ralston Barrett.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, welcome. And we're looking forward to hearing about. So you wear all these hats, right? Publicist, artist, manager, producer. I want you to start by telling us the difference between these three hats that you wear. Who is a publicist?
Well, a publicist is the person who helps artists and other creatives, and even business people. In terms of publicists, I work mainly in the entertainment industry. I've been in this industry for about for the better part of 30 years, a little bit more than 30, but yeah.
Yeah.
So what I do, I help the people that I work with to get exposure through the media by setting up video interviews, television interviews. I write articles and press releases about them and get them published in various newspapers, blogs, and websites and so forth. There's more to it than that, because actually, personally, I like to come up with strategies, effective strategies to promote the people that I work with. So there's a lot of planning. And yeah, we also, publicists also set up like public appearances. Sometimes we jump in and do stuff that we are not necessarily supposed to do because it's not a part of our portfolio, but because of the way that the business is, you'll find yourself helping the artists to get on shows, creating opportunities for them to work with other artists or with producers. I end up having to produce some of the people that I work with at times. I produce projects for them, not officially as a producer, but as a publicist. Like I have a client, for example, a client who said to me, I have a song and I don't like the way it sounds. Can you listen to it for me and tell me if it's all right? And we listen to the song and the song isn't produced properly, or something is wrong with it. And then I sit down and I talk to the person and I say, listen, this is what you need to do, X, Y, and Z. You probably need to have a live band in the studio to build you a new rhythm, etc., etc. And then I find myself having to organize all of this. So there's a lot of music that goes out there where I've actually played the role of producer that I have not been credited for, but you do things. It's my role as a publicist is to do everything I can to help my clients to achieve their goals, do everything I can to help them to become better at what they're doing, and also to give them opportunity to go out there in the spotlight.
Yeah.
Some publicists will just stop at writing the press release, getting it published, setting up the interviews. That's it. For me, it goes deeper.
So like me now as a writer, right, with books published, would you be a publicist for me in terms of promoting my books, getting it out there, or do you mainly focus on musicians?
Well, in the past, I mainly focused on entertainment. Over the years, I've ended up working with I've worked with a few authors. I've worked with a few artists who have also become authors. I
Mm-hmm.
ended up doing work with doctors and charitable organizations and small businesses.
Yeah.
So I'm now looking to expand my brand,
Mm-hmm.
whereas Reggae PR is mainly about entertainment. I'm getting ready to launch another company that will do PR for people who are not necessarily in the entertainment space. Talking about small business operators, entrepreneurs, authors, of course,
Mm-hmm.
just about any professional outside of the entertainment.
Okay,
Sorry
so
about
we're definitely going to be talking about that really. So tell me about the producer hat. What's a producer? What do you do?
that. A producer is that person who sits in the studio with you and help you to put your song together. That person is a person, as the term says, producer. We produce the music in the sense that, okay, you have some producers who are actually musicians or engineers or beat
Mm-hmm.
makers. Then you have people who are executive producers. They're the ones who spend the money to put the project together, to hire the engineer, to hire the musicians, to hire the background vocalists. Or, they spend this. Once you hear the word executive, this is the person that's spending the money.
Oh, okay.
I started off very early in the business at the age of, say, 14 or 15. The same year I was going to turn 15, I started off producing music. Don't ask me how I did it, but I did it.
Yeah.
Then I was more of an executive producer from that point onwards for a certain period of time because I didn't understand the intricacies of producing music. So I
Mm-hmm.
would take my fledgling artists at the time, aspiring artists that I was working with. Well, they're the ones who turned me into a producer by saying, "Well, yeah, I'm a producer, so we go on the studio." So we end up in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when they're singing off key. I don't know if they're singing too sharp or too flat. I
Yeah.
don't know nothing. I don't know if they're off the beat. No, 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 nothing. So I relied on the strength of the engineer. So there
Mm-hmm.
were a couple of times when we worked with people who were good, people who looked out for us. Like one of the first persons was a wonderfully talented gentleman a who's an artist, a producer, and a musician. Ed Robinson
Okay.
was living in Montego Bay at that time. I don't even remember. He had this awesome version of Knocking on Heaven's Doors.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. So he helped us out. Then we would go on to meet some other engineers in Kingston who, they didn't take the time, so we end up having some music that sound off key and sound weird. But luckily for me, I met a gentleman very early on by the name of Delroy Pottinger at Anchor Studios. Everybody knows him as Fata. Fata, I'm a good bridget.
Mm-hmm.
So meeting people like Fata, and then there were other engineers like Nigel Borrell, who I believe is Barry Simon's engineer now. I learned certain things from them.
Yeah.
So I quickly became like better at producing music. I wasn't on just spending money for studio time and putting things together that way. No, I can sit in the studio with an artist and say, well, this is off key or,
Mm-hmm.
or, we can do, yeah. So a producer is a person who helps you to put together your musical project. And if he's an executive producer and he doesn't know the musical side of things, because some producers can say, well, this sound good, that not sound good, but you can always hire people who have the technical knowledge.
So,
That's
like
what
me, as a YouTuber, I'm thinking of um, getting maybe like a 1 minute, 2 minute, some pieces for intros, for interludes for my video, right? Is that something you'd be able to help with? Because a lot of YouTubers now are also using those clips as a way of branding their work and to try to stem the plagiarism taking place, right? People copying theirs, sharing, using the videos without permission. So they use the intros as a way of of helping to brand themselves. So I'm thinking of getting some intros, getting some interludes, and stuff like that. Is that something that you would be able to help with for YouTubers?
Um, it's a possibility. I've never thought about it because I always thought that YouTubers got royalty-free content from different
Well,
websites.
we do, but sometimes it doesn't quite meet the specification that you want, right? For example, I have a channel, I have a 70s channel. I'm a 70s girl, right? And I have a channel where I feature all things 70s. And I've been looking through the catalog that YouTube has. There isn't much 70s retro music that, really have that 70s vibe. So I would think that I would want something that would give that authentic 70s feel. Like when you're watching an old time 70s movie and you just from you hear the first beat, yeah, this is it. This is the sensational 70s I want something like that.
It's a
So
possibility.
yes, so I'm thinking I'm gonna be needing, and it don't have to be long. Maybe a 2 minute, maximum 3 minutes each time.
Well,
All
I know
right, so
musicians who could do that. Yeah,
yeah,
it's a
so we're going
possibility.
to talk. We have a lot to talk about afterwards.
Wow.
So now you're at. So you told us about the producing and the publicist. So now you need to tell us, what does it entail when you're managing an artist?
Well, what I know as artist management might be a bit outdated. I started managing artists in the 90s, mid to late 90s. Back then, it was all about one being responsible for getting certain avenue of exposure for the artists, facilitating exposure, facilitating opportunities for the artists to get on a stage and perform. It's all about creating opportunities. I started off, I had a sound system, my community in Negril, Western Negril. I think it was called Rutherford. And, so nice of the sound. So other guys wanted a DJ on my sound, and we would go out and play around the community, attracted upcoming artists. So there's this one artist, more than anybody else at the time, Mr. Peck. Sorry, computer shaking. Sorry, Mr. Peck, he came to me one day and said, "I'll go on, manager." So I said, manager sound good. But I don't know, I didn't know what a manager was supposed to do. Started telling everybody that I'm his manager.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to me at the time, or even him, that we were actually related. We were cousins and we didn't even know. So through the music now and the link up, we've discovered that we were relatives. So we started hanging out more and more. And next thing I know, I took him to Shaibi studio in Kingston. Sorry, not Kingston, Montego Bay. Got some dub plates. Got dub plates from some other guys too. So now we're playing the dub plates and the sound, and it's getting a buzz. People in the community are talking about, the dub plates and why Peck sound good and this and that. And then the next thing start talking about making records. So now I moved from being the manager, but I moved from being a selector / sound system one and out to be Mr. Peck's manager. Now I'm going to become a producer. Both of us were in high school, mind you. We were just kids. And we put out the first song. I think I was about 14, going 15 that year. He was probably like a year older than I was. And so I had to learn on the job, so to speak. So, of course, I didn't have any books I could go and read to find out what the manager was supposed to do. But, I would read everything that came out in the newspapers about entertainment. I remember reading stuff in the Gleaner, the Jamaica Star, the Observer, X News, whatever there was, the Jamaica Herald, whatever. I was reading entertainment stuff and reading Reggae Report magazines and any other magazine about entertainment. So from what I learned and from what my experiences was I was the one making the calls, trying to get the artists on
Yeah.
shows, and I was calling other producers too, like the bigger producers in the industry. Like I would be calling like a Probably Digital, King Jammies, Post Records, trying to speak to Donovan Germany and Shocking Drives. I would call them, try to speak to Patrick Roberts. Remember, we were living in Nigrid, Western Nigrid. Oh, that's the farthest point,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So we started traveling to Kingston now. You get up, you get ready by 2 a.m. You try to get a
Wow.
taxi. Yeah, if you can't get a taxi, where we're gonna have to walk it into the Nigger town and get a taxi from there to Sav and get on a
Mm.
bus. Sometimes we got up at 12 a.m. to reach Sav by,
Wow.
let's say, 2 a.m. Reach Kingston between 4 and 6 a.m.
But
depends.
that's like a 4-hour journey, right?
Oh, back then, yeah, and there were no highways, and
Yeah.
we would come into town and go all over the place trying just to get to know people, and you know, it was that taught me what a manager was supposed to be, or what a
Mm.
manager is supposed to be, because I was out there on the ground trying to make connections, trying to make the links. So
Yeah.
the manager is a person who most times is investing in the artist.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one investing in the artist and trying to create all these different opportunities. I paid for studio time, I paid for promotion, whatever it costs. If we have to make posters or promotional pictures that we put up all over the place, everything. That
Everything,
was
as well as time,
time.
investing a lot of time. So does this take away from your personal life? Does it
At
interfere?
that time, looking back, I'm in my 40s now, very close to 50.
Yeah.
And what I have now is different from what I had then. As a young man, I didn't have much of a personal life. I didn't keep in connection. I think there are a lot of girls who were probably upset with me because
Yeah.
I was a guy who was just so focused on music. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have time for much of a personal life. In fact, my teenage years, the later stages of my teenage years, going into my 20s, was all about trying to make a name for
Yeah.
myself
For
in the
yourself.
industry and the people that I was working with. I was like a horse that had a blinkers. I was just looking in one direction.
Right. With the visor, the straight ahead, neither to the left nor the
Yeah,
right.
yeah. I remember at one point in time, my cousins, I grew up with two girls and a boy who they were younger than me. Um, the two girls are older than that boy that I refer to. They're like my brothers, sorry, my sisters and brother. That I didn't grow up with my
Mm.
siblings. My grandmother raised all of us.
Yeah.
I remember when we used to, like for Christmas, we used to stay up, back in the day when it was just I think it was still JBC, and they would have,
Mm.
we have 24-hour coverage now instead of signing off at 12, and we
Right.
would watch movies. And we would watch movies. We would watch movies all night till daylight. And I remember the first time that I wasn't there with them for that Christmas because I was in Kingston with Mr. Peck and two other artists, Vengeance and Turkleman. Vengeance was called Daddy B back then. We went to all the big events that week, that stretch for the Christmas holidays. We went to White River Reggae Bash in Ocho Rios, and
Mm-hmm.
then we went to Sting. I think White River Reggae Bash was on Christmas night, and we went to Sting on Boxing Day, and the following
Yeah.
day we went to Clarendon for a big dance.
So you do a
So
lot of all-nighters and into the
yeah,
next day.
and I was away, and my cousins were so sad because I wasn't there with them.
Yeah.
So, but they would have to experience many more Christmases like that from that point onwards, because I
Right.
was solely focused
Mm-hmm.
on the music business, learning this business, becoming a part of this business, doing everything I could to improve my position in the business at the time. But trying to create a position because there was a time when Ralston Barrett, who nobody knew me, but no, you call my name and I think a few persons might know the name now
Yeah, so tell us
because
some names of persons. Tell us some people you have worked with, some people who we can say, yeah, we know so and so over the years.
okay. When I started out, as I said, I started out with my cousin, Mr. Peck, as my first artist. Then I would go on to work with a couple more artists from Niger. There's a guy English was a good friend of mine, and Daddy V, who became Vengeance, who's still a very good friend of mine, and I've still produced music with him over the years. And Turkeyman. I have to mention these guys because that's where it all started.
Foundation,
Yeah,
foundation,
yeah.
right?
And if my story is to be told any at all, it has to mention them because they were a part of it. We were like brothers at the
Yeah,
time, and eventually, what happened? We parted company. I won't get into that right now.
yeah,
But people in the music industry in Kingston, they recognized my ability to put artists, and people were always saying to me, "Come and work with us." I mean, these were established people who were saying to me, "We would like you on our team," but I didn't want to be on anybody's team. I was trying to create something for myself. At the time,
yeah,
I had my Brother Vibes Acid Records imprint, and I was pushing that. And I met a young lady from Montego Bay in the same time when I was producing these guys. Her name is Altine Campbell. She was known as Serial Kid. I saw something in her the very first day I met her. There was just something different about this young lady. I didn't know she was an artist, and well, I used to be very, let me say, troublesome. I saw her standing in a corner in the office in Mobile. There was this place where this guy was, can't remember his name now, but he was involved in the music business in Montego Bay. So I used to frequent his office from time to time. There are a lot of artists hanging out there. So I saw this one person in the corner. Right back then in the 90s, people were wearing baggy shirts and baggy pants. Everything was like, the hip hop look.
yeah.
So I said to myself, is that a boy or a girl? So I asked out loud, I said, are you a boy or a girl? And she looked at me. And she looked at me. So everybody was laughing, and then they said, so the guy said to me, he said, rather be yourself, no man, you can't get trouble, son. You love trouble people, son. So I said, no man, but I really want to know if that boy or a girl. So I walked over to her and said it, and she don't answer me. So the same gentleman said, she can't sing, bad singer. So I said, you can't sing, and she looked at me like, so I said, sing, and she by now she was upset because I had provoked her, so to speak. So he said, that producer, and so she opened her mouth and she sang a few lines, and I was amazed at what I heard.
Yeah.
And I asked her immediately, I said, do you want to work with me? I want to work with you. And she gave me her dad's number, and she took my number. And from that very moment, the connection was made and we started to work together. I bring her in the crew. That was a part of the reason I think the crew fell apart because they thought I was paying special attention to her.
To
No,
her.
she's the only female. Yeah, she's the only female among us. She's younger than everybody else because at that time, as I said, most of the guys that I was working with, they were older than me, way older than me. She was probably like 13 when I met her. She just entered high school. I'm not sure, but she was very young. So for the first year or so, it was about grooming her. As I said, taking her into the studio. She wasn't studio ready when I met her. I had to groom her to become studio ready. So it's like, oh, you're paying too much attention to her. She get more studio time than everybody else. So yada yada. Jealousy come in, and
Yeah.
they did what they had to do. I had a partnership with a US based investor at the time. She and took them, and they went their way. And I said, all right, I'm gonna give up now. I'm gonna leave music business alone. And here's this little girl, a teenager, looking at me. I think I must have been about, I don't remember how old at the time, probably still in my teens, but I was a lot more older than her. Saying, to, say, big man, they can't give up on him. And I remember calling her on the phone when she got home from school that day and telling her, hey, I'm quitting music business. And she said, no, your mother. I said, yeah, man, I have to stop because, I have no funding. The guys are gone. Everybody's gone. That's what you going to do? I said, well, I'll see if I can join the police force.
Oh yes, because you did mention that you really wanted to be a soldier at first.
I wanted to be a member of the JDF, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you more about that.
Okay.
So she came to see me that weekend. That we normally linked up on weekends for to go through songs with her and you know work certain things out musically. So she came and she said, "Can I go up? You have to keep doing this, and I don't want to do music with nobody else. If it's not you, I'm not gonna do it." And she gave me that pep talk, like she talked to
Yeah.
me like a big woman. And so I went and I spoke to my grandmother, and being the loving, kind, gentle soul that she was, she said to me, "Don't worry yourself." That was Saturday. So Monday morning, my grandmother told me that I should get ready to go downtown with her. And I had no idea where we were going. She just told me that I need to get ready. So I got ready and she got ready. And I'm gonna put on a nice dress and nice shoes because my grandmother was bossy, put on herself, very nice like the way ladies used to dress back then.
Yeah.
Um, so we went downtown. Oh, Lord, behold, she took me to the annual Scotia Bank that was opening.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're in Scotia now, and she tell me to wait over here. So I go look a year there and I sat down and she went and did her thing and came back and handed me, like a plastic bag with the money. And she said, "This is all I have to give you."
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
She said, "It's up to you now what you do.
Oh my.
Up to you whether you or not, but this is what I have to give you." So she gave me a certain amount of money, which was a sizable amount at that time.
Yeah.
And that was after the review, as they say in America. Well, not literally, but
Yeah.
I was now able to book a session with Sly Dunbar and Lenky. Lenky, who made the duale with him. Lenky and Sly made two with him something that same week. But I tell you a funny thing. I was so stressed out by what had happened with the guys just stepping away from me, throwing away everything that we had built together. Because as I said, they were like my brothers. I had
You
been on the
felt
road.
kind of like it's a betrayal, something like
Yeah.
that, eh?
These were the people who I had spent the last 4 or 5 years with, on the road.
Investing
Yeah,
time and
yeah,
effort and
yeah.
everything.
We hung out when we were in the studio. We were at events, or we were just hanging out. I would hang out with English at his sister's restaurant, the cook shop. Peg. I go up to his lane, and me and him and another group of guys who are also relatives. We go and we cook in a bush and sit down and make big plans how we'll get big in the music and this and that and what we're gonna do. And these we were all these guys. They were my friends. My friends. They were like brothers.
Almost brothers, you could say.
Yeah. And for somebody who has
Family.
yeah, and for someone who has six brothers, I never grew up with any of them. This meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
So now here I am. I'm in the studio. These two big time musicians. I mean, Sly Dunbar is a legend. Lenky was on his way to, coming up as well. Everybody called, I think that back then they were calling him the Reggae Jesus because he was playing on all these big rhythms of Bounty Kid and all these people. These men build these two rhythms and come out when I was supposed to pay them now. And I go, I don't have the money, man. I don't have the money. I don't have the money on me. Because I had separated a certain amount of money and put in one pocket and put have a little plastic bag thing in. The same bank bag. I put away a certain amount of money. I said, this is what I'm taking to pay the musicians. And when I can't find it, so so I step outside, come back in, and I said, "What am I going to tell them?" So I mustered the courage and I explained. First, I said to Fata, start to Sly, man. And then I told Sly, and Sly said to me, Westman, I see the stress by you, man. I see. Because he had known what had happened, because I'd worked with him before,
Yeah.
So he spoke like and I said, what I'll do, I'm going to go home this evening, I'm going to come back up tomorrow and pay. And he said, no, man, what you said, man. Whenever you come back up. And I came back to Kingston and when I spoke to Sly said, no, man, everything good, man. We hear that, man. And come over, I swear, one of those beats, I recorded Serial Kid and she did a version of TMO. It was getting some airplay. But for some reason, it took off in the dance hall. For some reason, I think, oh man, this is really bad. I'm trying to remember the name of the DJ. He's deceased now. He was a Youth Man Troy.
Okay.
He came to an event in town and played it in Kingston. And he was the one who called me and told me, said, listen, this song I'm busting. And he gave it a lot of support. He was working on IFM at that time. So that opened the doors for her to record for Bankulus. She did a version of Brandy's song, Same Girl. I think that was the title. And the rhythm that Beanie Man did, What a Wish. So she did that song for Banky. That was a big thing. For Bankulus put her on that rhythm, and that things just keep opening up till, I was still producing her. I'm still trying to make contacts with people like Computer Pod who were going to produce her biggest song. I got her on this massive event in New York with Barry Salmon, Sprague Benz, Butcher Bantam, Barrington Levy, Coco T. There were some hip hop guys, some R&B guys, and
so you would have foot the bill for that for her.
For traveling, no. Well, when we traveled, the promoters paid them.
The promoter, okay.
Yeah, and they got us work permits and stuff. So that to me will always be the high point of my career, no matter what happens.
Yeah.
Because I took an artist from
oblivion.
Obscurity. Mind you, when I was trying with her, there were people telling me, "Where you go with the little girl that she can't sing? Brother, you see her mash up yourself."
Yeah, you always have the naysayers, who don't have the vision.
Let the people in Peterborough school, she not good, she not have it. The people said some terrible things. I tell you what, the starting point though, after we had that, did those first few songs. You remember when the Dancer Queen movie came out, and they had some big event at Mirage nightclub. Man, Chabelle Franklin, and someone had on the bill. I'd gotten her as one of the opening acts, and she wrecked Mirage that night. It was incredible. I mean, when Lady Star came on stage, Lady Star said, "I just come over because I'm meaning Lady Star, I'm there on the show because why you say for look, the little girl done."
What's the name this girl was going by, you said?
Serial Kid.
Serial Kid.
Serial Kid.
And she's still singing now?
No, I don't know what she's doing now. Then there was a point when she went back to Mirage. She performed an all-female concert as well in there. Devastating. She kept us anywhere she touched. Kids were just crazy over her when she do like Teen Splash and all those events. We did shows around the Caribbean, a few shows. We went to the States a couple times again. But she was just...
So this is an example of when you believe in the artist and a lot of persons were saying, negative things. Have you had situations where an artist approached you and you didn't quite believe in what the artist was doing or in their talent or where they were going? How do you screen the artist before you take on that artist to manage?
Well, there was a point where I was pretty naive about talent and business. I love talent. I admire talent. People who try to do things. And I think that in my earlier days, I was not as discerning as I know. So try to give everybody a chance. I still want to give everybody a chance.
Yeah.
But no, I can say to somebody, you know, you need voice training, or you need to concentrate on another area of the music industry. You're a writer, you're a songwriter, you should write songs for the artists.
Raleigh, I don't know
Get
why your
productive.
voice is
People appreciate
breaking
that
up.
when people give advice. Well,
Raleigh, your voice is breaking up. I'm not sure why.
my voice is broken.
Yeah.
It's
Can
still
you think
happening.
of what it was happening earlier,
I
but
think it
not
might
as
be
much.
internet.
But no, it's like it's getting worse.
I think it's
Try
internet
again.
now. I think it's the internet.
Oh, the internet. Okay. All right. You may continue.
Is it any better now?
Yes.
No?
Yes, it's better now. You can continue,
Well,
Raleigh.
yeah. So I said in the earlier days, I wasn't so keen on certain things, and then, you know, as informed as not. So, you know, I recorded people that I shouldn't have recorded them in the first place, because with the song, there are some songs that, you know, that's not good. But no, I can tell somebody, I said, listen, you know, I don't think you're a singer or a DJ. I think you're a writer.
Yeah, and
Try
sometimes you
being a
just have to be
songwriter or try
brutally honest,
production.
right?
But some people don't want to hear that.
Yeah. You just have to be brutally honest. And you've been in the industry long enough to have that discernment.
Yes, I have. And I've worked with a lot of people who are, you know, I've recorded outside. I probably 3 songs with Cape years. I produced songs with Africa. I produced the very first set of songs for her that started to get airplay and, you know, create a little buzz that would lead, you know, for her to getting greater exposure to becoming a star. I produced people like Anthony B. I produced back in the day Master Shop Crew. You know, several artists that I've worked with as a producer. People like George
Yeah.
Hooks, and there are others. Um, yeah, so you learn by working with these artists. You learn a
Right.
lot.
So
People like Elephant Man, you name them.
we're gonna
Mr.
share with
Vegas is
our
another person
viewers.
who I've also produced.
We're gonna share some pics with our viewers. What I want you to do for me, Raleigh, as you look at the pic, just tell us what is happening there, what that pic means to you. Right, this is a special segment of our program where we allow the guests to share some pics. So just tell us as soon as you see a pic come up, just tell us what's happening there.
Happy moment.
Who are these people?
I think that was taken in. They're my world. At least a very large part of my world.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the one in the middle is my symphony. She's 6 years old. She's gonna be 11 in a few months from now, and that's me, her other sister, who is 7. Sorry, symphony is gonna be 7 in a few months. Amelia just turned 11 earlier.
Okay.
Many people see pictures and they don't know. Amira isn't my biological child, but when I met her mom, who's my ex-wife, she was, she was still a baby, probably a year old or so. And so she sort of grew, you know, in my hands, so to speak, as we say in Jamaica, she grew in my hands. So she will
Yeah.
forever be my little girl. And yeah, so I'm her daddy, and she's my little angel. And this is the one in
Right.
the middle is the one who she is. She's like, oh my God. She,
I
I don't
noticed you
know.
named her
I tell you,
Symphony. So
these girls
you
mean
definitely
the
are a
world.
music minded person. So she's your symphony.
Yes, and her yes, and I have to give credit to her mom as well because we both decided on that name because her mom is also not involved in the music business, but she loves music a lot. She has
Okay.
love music and books. Yeah. So
So this is our
oh,
little
so the previous
recording.
picture. When yeah, but before we get to this one,
Okay.
yeah. So but let me say something about the previous picture. That was in 2021 when I was recovering from the car accident, and the girls came to look for me. Yeah, that one. Okay, so
Yeah.
you can move forward now.
So this is our musician recording artist.
Okay.
And here are the girls
Who knows?
again.
Who knows? She yeah. And yeah, by now I was walking, and they came to visit me again. Yeah. These
Okay,
two
so this is the
songwriters.
logo for the
Um
reggae guitar. We have two logos.
that's the
What was
old logo. We actually have a new one
oh,
here.
this is
But
the old one. This one here
this
on
is the
screen,
old
the old
this is
one.
for one of my labels.
Okay, and this
Yeah, that's
one
for one of my
is
that's for one of my okay, this is the old one. This is the old one for
okay,
PR. The logo that you sold previously is for one of my labels that we no longer use.
label. Okay. All right, so this is you in
Yeah,
studio, really. Who is this with you here?
yeah. No, that's reggae singer extraordinaire Ginger.
Okay.
And Ginger is known for hits like Sweet Killer and Never Last Moe.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, we were
okay.
working on a project that day at Anchor
And this
Recording
is the
Studio.
studio you were telling us about.
Yeah, Anchor. Yeah.
Anchor
Yeah. So
Studio. Where's this again, really?
in Kingston.
In Kingston.
Yeah, so that's Casher to the left and Ginger sitting on the stool there. I don't remember who that young man is.
Okay.
And that's Bigotan.
So
Um,
you would be involved. I mean, you're very involved in the entire process, the studio process, the on the road process, the stage. So you
yeah,
would be in studio, what, supervising, giving advice. What exactly
yes.
do you do in the studio?
Okay. That's my engineer there, Delroy Pottinger that I spoke about earlier. And Symphony's mom put me that time, we were
Okay.
together. In studio now, yes, I would be there in studio, working along with Fata, supervising the session, you know, in terms of the whole production to make sure that the songs are recorded properly, recorded to my liking because I'm a producer. I know what I want to put out
Yeah.
on my label, so I work along with the engineer and the artist, yeah, to create something beautiful, something we call
Right.
music.
Right. And I really wanted to share really with our viewers that how I met you. And we were chatting just earlier that it was almost 9 years ago, something like that. That's how I met you. And we were both in the studio at CVJ. right? CVM, sorry,
CVM,
CVM.
CVM.
CVM. Um, so I was there to promote my books, and I'm pretty
Mm.
sure you were there in your capacity as publicist, really, to promote an artist, right?
Yeah,
Right.
I was there that morning with, I think it was Tom Lang,
Yeah.
from New York. Yeah, he was there promoting his EP.
So
Yeah,
I had my books there, and we're in the little waiting room that the guests sit there until it's their turn, and we struck up a conversation, and you asked me, why was I there, and I was telling you that I was there to promote my books as a self-published author. And I remember, Ali, you bought I think the book you bought was Spotted Opie, if my memory is correct. You bought Spotted Opie,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that meant so much to me. It meant so much to me because it's not like I was asking you to buy it or trying to, they say was without provocation. You offered and you said to me, we should support our upcoming writers, we should support our intellectuals. And this is something I still hold that dear to my heart, and I really wanted to share with the viewers. This is the type of person you are. I saw that it was genuine. And then getting to know you over the years, we're Facebook friends and so on. I realized that you are an avid reader, and you're somebody who's always sharing your little quotations from persons, inspirational quotation, motivational quotations. So I know that this is another side of you as well, the intellectual side of you, right? The deep thinker. This is and it's something I really admire, Raleigh, and I don't think I will forget that investment. Maybe to you, it's just maybe you do it all the time, and so when you did it that morning, it was just another thing to do, right? You see a budding writer there, and just offer support. But to me, it meant so much. It meant so much because a lot of persons would not do that. We as writers, we don't get a lot of support, especially here in Jamaica, where so much of our citizens don't read. As a group, as a culture, we don't read. And you're someone who I know to be an avid reader and an avid supporter of writers. So I want to big you up on that, Raleigh. I really want to big you up on that. So
Well, thanks for the big up.
yeah, man, no, it's something I
Meeting
carry
you
within
at
my heart.
CVM, that was a high point for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a high point for me, because here I was, I met a writer. I mean, you're the first
Mm,
writer I was spoken to in person,
yeah.
and saw you with the books, and one of your sons was there. I think it's Azar. Azar,
Mm,
is that correct? That's the
Asar.
name. I'm
Asar.
bad with names.
Yes. Asar.
Um, Hassan, yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. So I said to myself, when you come back out, because you went in to do the interview, I said, I'm going to get one of the books. And
Mm,
well, we spoke about it, I said, after you do the interview. And I had a book, you signed it.
mm-hmm.
And I think you said, there are no coincidences in life.
Ah.
Yeah. Took home the
Yep.
book. Yeah. So I come home with the book, and I prefer to say my daughter's mom, because I don't like to say ex-wife, but
Yeah.
we were married at the time. I come with the book, and she said, "Where you get this?" So I said, "I met this wonderful writer at CBM." She said, "Let me see." So she took the book and she took it over. She read it long before me, and then she started post out the book. Nice, and what have you. So then I read it, and then we went and Lion and bought The Fight and the Family,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
yeah, started to buy more books from you than the
Yes. You've
Gentry
been such
support.
a supporter, right?
And
Yeah.
I enjoy your work. And
Thank you,
Paul
Ralph.
Ivy is somebody else that I
Right, Dr.
enjoy reading
Ivy
his work.
as well. Yeah.
And you know the funny thing, the other day I realized that Dr. Ivy and one of my uncles went to school together.
Oh, wow.
Small world, yeah. So,
Yeah.
you know, but you see, wanted to buy the book and give me that support as you said to an upcoming author. That's just a part of my nature.
That's what I realized. I realized that.
I think I
Really?
got that from my grandmother. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
your
I'm here.
voice is still kind of breaking, but we're gonna go through still. But all right, so you
No, it's the
described.
internet.
I remember I asked you how old you are in the questionnaire leading up to this interview. You said, well, you're 46, but you kind of feel like 20, 26, 16. Tell us about that.
Well,
It's a you described yourself earlier as an old soul, but now you're saying you have a young spirit. So how you get those two to exist in the same space?
I have an old soul. I've been told that on numerous occasions ever since I was a child coming up to now. I do know that I love to read a lot of history books. I read everything I can about ancient Rome, ancient Greece, Africa, whatever. I read about historical figures. I enjoy that. But there's a part of me that loves dancehall music, and I'm listening to Skin and all these guys. I'm listening to Tammy Lee Spanner. Yeah, I get a lot
You
of
do a lot of dancing as
hooks
well
up
when
when
you
people
listen
find
to
out
the
about.
music. You
No,
dance.
Symphony says I
You do
shouldn't.
anything
Symphony says I
yourself?
shouldn't dance. No, Symphony says I shouldn't dance. Except that you can't dance and you can't sing.
You
But I listen a lot of yeah. So I'm listening what's in so what I want to play when my kids are around. So I might listen to them on a weekend. I like to listen a lot of Massacre and Chronicler. Those are two of the artists that I've worked with in the past. And recently I was working with Massacre. I worked with those guys who were just coming up. I do, but on the culture who's somebody else that I worked with too in the past, and I to lead Ike. Ike. It's
Oh,
just so
I
much
love
music.
her.
Music makes me
I love
feel
her.
uh,
Yeah.
that
She's from Santa Cruz
she's a
too, where
tremendous
you are.
talent.
She's from that side of the world. Christiana.
No, I think she's from Manchester. Manchester.
Manchester.
Christiana Manchester, I think.
Okay.
But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. But when I'm listening to the music, I feel like I've traveled back in time. Like give me
Yeah.
the kind
Well,
of like when I
I'm
was
a
young and going
music
to
fanatic too, but I tend
classes.
to stick to the 70s. There
No,
thereabouts.
no, listen. My thing is I love music right across the board.
Yeah.
Reggae, dancehall, R&B, you name it. I love my favorite artist is Dennis Brown. Dennis Brown, my favorite
Yeah.
all-time favorite. And then Shabba Ranks, the 80s, 90s dancehall. Um, Give me Buju Banton. It's just a mixed bag for me because I listen to all these different artists, Bob Marley, Peter Tosh, you name them. But as I said, I'm listening to Massacre, I'm listening to Skank, I'm listening to Chronicler, I'm listening to some of Shensia's music, Stark Ashley. And and I go back and I go listen to Marcia Griffiths and I listen to Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston. It's just so many great artists. And Teddy Pendergrass,
Right.
the Isley Brothers, these it's just I listen to country and western, I listen to
Yeah.
Kenny Rogers
All
all the
round.
time.
All round. So
Mhm.
Raleigh, tell us about this thing that you wanted to be a soldier though. You
Yeah,
wanted
from an
to
early
be
age.
in the JDF.
From an early age I said I wanted to be a soldier because I was a very serious little boy. I didn't laugh a lot, I didn't smile a lot. I guess that was part of me being depressed because my parents neglected me. I was raised by my grandmother. I believe my
Yeah.
mom gave me to my grandmother when I was, I think, about 6 months old. So I grew up with this. I'm I'm like I think I'm a natural introvert, and I was a loner. And then I was fascinated by whenever we saw back then you really saw soldiers, you know, not like now where you have Zozos and whatever. But whenever I would see a truck pass by with soldiers, I was like, oh, me that more want to be a
It
soldier. And then
intrigued
when you
you.
watch movies, you know, the war movies, I, I was intrigued by the
Yeah.
uniform and the fact that these men seemed like they were supermen at the
So
time,
when did it
and they
wear
carried a
off?
gun, and
When did all of
it
that
didn't
wear
wear
off?
off. You know, my grandmother um, found out that I tried to join the cadets in high school.
Uh,
She said, you go in the army and you don't carry a gun and probably you're there and them shoot you and then kid you do
yeah. So
gun.
she was in fear for
Um,
you.
um, yeah, she treated me like I was her, like, you know, like you have a treasured possession and you don't want anything to happen to it and you can't afford to lose it. I was my
Yeah.
grandmother's prize.
Her
So
pet.
even though I was in high school now, yeah, I was
Mm,
getting into trouble all the time, suspensions, and I dropped out of
yeah.
Manning's high school like 3 times. And then I went to Rossi's and dropped out of Rossi's twice. Ended up in the
Mm.
farm school and got on probation, and they
Yeah,
said I
but
had to go
your
to.
story tells a lot in a rally because here you're telling us about dropping out of this school and dropping out of that school, and you pretty much learned at the University of Hard Knocks, as we call it. You are pretty much self-taught through experience, and yet, as I told our viewers, I know you to be a very educated man in terms of what you have exposed your mind to deliberately through books. So this is telling us that hey, yeah, you might drop out of school, you might not have any subjects, but that's not the end of it for you. You come when you come to um realize as an adult, yeah, you may have slacked off, you may have not have grasped with things that mom was saying or grandma was saying. You can still go back and educate yourself. And if it's not possible to educate yourself through an institution, then you can educate yourself by reading books, by exposing yourself to knowledge, right? This is something that I'm learning from you, having been now in the industry for
I made
almost
a choice this year.
years. Yes, Raleigh, go ahead. Go
I made a
ahead. You
conscious
can.
decision that I got after I had gotten enough. Yeah, I made a conscious decision after I had gotten into enough trouble because I was in the streets, so to speak, doing stuff that you do in the streets as a teenager, and stopped going to church, stopped going to school. I was going through a rebellious phase, and I
Yeah.
realized that this phase, if it didn't end, it could cost me more than just my freedom. Because if I ended up
Mm-hmm.
in prison, my grandmother would probably die, and I didn't want my
Yeah.
grandmother to die prematurely because of me. And not only that, I needed her as much as she needed me. And I believe that God gave me this grandmother and gave her this grandson that is sitting in front of you speaking to you today for a reason. We were put together for a reason. And realizing that my grandmother is getting old and I'm getting into more and more trouble, and I had to stop. I had to find something to do with my life. And
Yeah.
when I did the, you know, when I took account of what I could do at the time, I said music seems to be the choice. But I didn't know what to do in music other than play that sound system that would land me into more trouble. Getting arrested for disturbing the peace and that kind of stuff, being dragged before the courts. But thanks to Mr. Peck, who saw something in me that I didn't see and chose me to
At
be
the
his
time.
monitor.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all these other artists that worked with me during that time, and I owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to them, and also Serial Kid and all the people in Kingston who saw me, this little boy who acted like a big man. And they did something for me. People like King Jamis, I went, King Jamis is a legend. And I
Mm-hmm.
went to him with my artist and he recorded her. He recorded Serial Kid.
Yeah.
Come Paul, Donovan Jermaine recorded her too, and Jack Scorpio, and a couple other people. They gave me a chance to take myself away from that situation.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was in the music business now, and I'm doing what I'm doing. I made a little bit of money eventually, and I went back and opened my grandmother's restaurant. I opened my gift shop that I wanted to open
Yeah.
all these years. And this little shop was at the front of our home, and people used to laugh and say, "Look how long we must build this." I remember some of these Juta drivers who were so rude, who would walk up the street and go and pee inside the building.
Oh
So
my.
yeah, people do some silly things, and then nice, beautiful structure now, and they say one have to carry tourists there at
Is
that
grandma
time.
still
So
around?
unfortunately, she's not here in the flesh, but I can
Mm-hmm.
feel her presence in my life every
Yeah.
day. She has made me the man that I am. She has helped to mold me into this human being who has a kind and gentle heart,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I am the parent that I am. So
Yeah.
the books came into being around that time in the early 2000s when I thought I needed something more. Books were always present in my household.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Nancy Drew books, Hardy Boys, other stuff. There were lots of books because my aunt, I had one aunt, but I have one aunt on my father's side of the family, and then my father's younger brother. They had books. They had a lot of books, and books. My grandmother would buy books from the Adventists, people who came to sell books, and other people. So there was all different type of books, and I would just be in put my head in a book and try to learn something new. But then around somewhere in about 2003, 2004, I decided I really want to take on reading, like take it on a serious level. Um, I was always reading though, reading magazines, reading
About how
newspapers.
many books you think you read per year? Can you
I don't
guess?
know. I don't know because
Per month? Can you guess?
okay, let's say probably because I do a lot of work, but
Mm-hmm.
I go through audiobooks pretty quickly,
Mm-hmm.
especially if I'm driving. So
Right.
if
You do.
I'm driving, yeah, if I'm driving, I listen probably 5 audiobooks in a week. So it could be
Wow.
20 a month. And
And it
then
builds your mind. It does. It builds your mind.
it does. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I talk about certain concepts and ideas with people when we're having random conversations and things just come out. And I say, where did that come from? But then I
Yeah.
can remember I saw something in a book. I
Mm-hmm.
read something. Yeah, but there are times when I will lock myself away and I'll just read
Yeah.
for days. And symphony, well, Amelia is a reader, and I think she got that from her mom. And although
Mm-hmm.
we're not biologically connected, she got it from me as well. And
Yeah.
she's also very good at writing stories and compositions and stuff. She's a brilliant child doing well in school. Symphony is showing similar traits, and she just loves books. I remember at 2, she just whenever I'm reading in bed, she just take a book and curtain, as we say, and open one of my books. I said, "What are you doing?" Daddy, may I read? So I love reading. Reading makes
Yeah.
me
It
it makes
shows.
me
It
happy
shows.
to read. It keeps me safe. It keeps me safe. Funny thing is, I was listening a book about President Truman. Um, was a memoir, a biography, I should say. And he told the author that reading keeps a man safe. And I never heard anybody say it before, but I always say to people that reading keeps me safe. It keeps me out of trouble because
Keeps you
I'm
out of
reading and
trouble.
trying to, yeah. And
Process. And
yeah, whenever I'm
Ollie,
getting to a point where,
in we're kind of wrapping up now. I want to ask you, what would you describe as the high points in the career of producer, artist, manager? What are the high points and what are the low points?
For me personally,
Yeah, for you.
um, the high point for me as a producer, I remember producing a song for Tony Rebel, early 2000, a song called Loyal Soldier. I think it was about 2000, 2001. And walking into St. Mary, I come from concert that same year
Yeah.
with Tony Rebel, and watching him go on stage performing all his big hits, all those big hits, Fresh Vegetable, and all those big songs that him, made him the icon that he is today in Jamaican music. And then to see him perform that song as a new song, and the crowd just went wild. And somebody touched me on the shoulder and said to me, "Say, Rado, you're boss now." And and he was on that rhythm, with the top rhythm. And I remember I was in Kingston one day when Roundhead from Monster Shack Crew called me. I said, "Rado, if you have big rhythm like that, and I call me, I may have Bridget. Come meet me at the studio, I got voice." And everybody wanted the voice and the rhythm. So that I was like, I had arrived as a producer. The high
Yeah.
point as a manager was seeing Serial Kid rise from obscurity, become nationally known, and to start get up there to perform in New York and Connecticut and all those places,
Yeah.
that Grand Cayman, etc. That was a high point for my career as a manager. As a publicist, I've had so many highs. Seeing Protege become a star after working with him when nobody knew him, when a lot of people were not willing to support him in the media, and I
Yeah.
kept nagging and pushing, and yeah, so that's another high point for me. And to work with guys like Chronic Law and Massacre from upcoming stage, and to see them become icons. Uh, I won't take credit to say that I work with them right through, because sometimes you just get to work with these artists in the early stages.
Yes. Yes.
There are people like Carvers, so many others. And I've worked with, I can't count the amount of artists, Richie Spice,
Yes, I can
you
imagine.
know,
Yeah.
Spice. So I think, yeah, I've done well professionally, but the biggest thing that has happened for me in life is to become um, a parent, to become a father, a daddy.
That
That's the most.
shines through so brilliantly, for seeing your posts. It is just very clear to me how seriously you take fatherhood and what it means to you. So I can attest to that, really. What are there any misconceptions that you would say somebody has of a publicist, manager, producer? Something that
All right.
people don't understand or misunderstand. They just don't know the nitty gritty of what it takes.
People think that publicists are supposed to do everything. As there are different roles. I have been working for the past 20 odd years mainly as a publicist. That's the service I offer to clients. Anything I do otherwise is for my own personal satisfaction. If I see somebody and I want to produce music with them, I'm not putting it out there that, hey, I'm a producer, come hire me. Hire me as a publicist. People hire me as a publicist and they expect me to deal with music publishing for them. They want me to play the role of a manager. Um, some people want you to go on the road with them. As a publicist, I don't need to go on the road with you. You need to have a road
Yeah.
manager. As I said, I try to facilitate people as much as possible, but a publisher and a publicist is not the same. A publisher
Yes.
deals with the administration of your music, your intellectual property rights. They deal with all those things. Trying to create opportunities for you to earn from your written work, and to make sure that your music is copyrighted and that kind of stuff. They deal with all those things. That's not my job. Uh, as a,
So you make
so
this
there are
clear.
certain.
When someone approaches you, you make this clear.
I
Do
try
you
my best.
want a publicist? Do you want a manager? And there are different contracts.
Yeah, well, as I said, I've been working mainly as a publicist. Whenever people ask me like if they want a publisher, I recommend them to people in the business who do that. Sometimes
Okay.
people are asking me to write contracts for them. I attorneys who deal with those things, you know.
Okay.
So other misconception, I try to help the clients to understand what you understand. Because free consultation, if you hire me as a client, I do consultation.
Is this something that's really an expensive task? To hire a publicist, to hire a producer, manager? How, give us an idea of the cost.
To hire a publicist, I know I'm a pretty reasonable guy. I do offer a higher level of service than most publicists do, and some of these publicists are charging more than I do. I don't wish to price myself out of the business or to make it difficult for people to access the service that I provide. So I don't think it's very expensive. And I do have colleagues you know, who try to do the same thing that I do.
So Raleigh,
So
if someone wants to, I want to put up a banner while you're talking. So if someone wants to contact you, give me the info. Let me put it on a banner while you're explaining that for me.
okay,
So would they
you
contact
can
you by email, or you want to put a number, or what?
contact me at 876
876
298
2 repeat 298 and what else?
6613.
6613. All right, so it's 876 298 6613. All right, so I'm going to put that banner up for persons
And
to look at it. Raleigh, is that number correct?
let me give you an email address as well.
Is that number correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, give me the email address, please.
It's it's reggae PRJA
PR reggae
PRJA at gmail.com. Yeah. JA.
So reggae PRJA at gmail.com.
Yes. And we are on all the social media platforms. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We have business pages, and you'll find a lot of information about me that's out there on the net.
And we're speaking with Ralston Barrett. So just give Ralston a call or send him an email, and he'll tell you about the different ways that he can help you.
Popularly known as
Rallo or Raleigh? I know I call you Raleigh. You're popularly known as what? Rallo?
You call me Raleigh, but the people industry, yeah.
Rallo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you know, my grandmother used to call me Raleigh. That was
see?
That was her Raleigh. No, Raleigh. She used to call me Raleigh like you do.
Yeah. It sounds more affectionate to me, you know. So yeah, so give Mr. Barrett a call or send him an email, and you know he will help you to I know I'm gonna be talking to him regarding getting some promo for my books. So if you're an artist, and as he says, he's expanding his portfolio now to include small businesses, writers, anybody who wants to promote. And once you're in business, you need to promote. Am I not right, Raleigh? Yes. So give him a call. And
That's it.
Ralston,
That's
yeah,
it.
I really appreciate. I mean, it took a while because you're a very busy person. I'm glad that you gave us this time on this Saturday morning here to share with our viewers what it really entails.
I tell you what,
Sometimes we take people for granted and we don't understand what goes into the job. Yes, Raleigh, go ahead, please. Right. So we were having some lagging sometimes, but all in all, it was a great conversation, and I learned a lot. My viewers learned a lot, Raleigh, and thank you for coming on and sharing with us.
it has been a tremendous pleasure, and I look forward to being on
Yes.
this platform again. And
Again,
you know,
definitely.
yeah, it's a
And
pleasure.
I have to end. I mean, I know it's something I go on and on about, but it was a small act of kindness, but you don't know what things, we don't know how people interpret the things that we do. Sometimes we think it's a very small thing that we're doing and we don't know how it impacts. I'm telling you that support that you gave me that morning, it impacted me a lot.
And
It
I'm
did.
happy to know that. I'm
Yes.
happy.
All right,
And,
Raleigh, so we'll
and
touch
I
base.
and I enjoy your work.
Yes.
So keep, you do books and these wonderful interviews and stuff. And
Yeah.
kudos to you.
And if you know anyone who,
And as I was saying,
whatever
I'm
field
learning
they're
from
in, whatever field they're in, Raleigh, and you
you.
think they can come and share with us about that job so we can better understand it, just give me a call, and we'll
Mhm.
line up some interviews with those persons
Okay,
also.
for sure. I'll do that.
All right.